Hello, this is Johnny Cycles with CyclesGaming.com, bringing you my wrap up for my Amulet Dinos featuring Terror of the Peaks League games or matches for Keeping Modern Janky. Overall, our league record was 1-4, which is pretty brutal. We won our first match and then proceeded to drop our next 4. We beat an Orzhov Stoneblade Scam deck, and then we lost to Hardened Scales Affinity, Primal Titan, Gruul, Questing Druid, Storm Druid, Druid Storm, and then a mono red Prowess deck. Overall, I mean, what those 4 decks that we lost to have in common is that they have consistent turn 3 wins. And other than Primeval Titan, the other 3 are very aggressive creature strategies with some reach. So I'm not surprised that we lost them playing the deck we're playing. We don't have really any way to interact with our opponent's board until we stick a Terror of the Peaks and follow it up with another creature, which is going to be pretty slow for us, even on our best draws. And then playing 1 dinosaur to pick off 1 creature is often not going to be enough against those types of decks. Yes, the strategy as a whole, without that kind of turn 3 win, that without having to attack via Valakut and Primeval Titan, I just don't know if it's viable. I think it's got a lot of fun synergies and lines, and offers some rewarding gameplay. I will say that in a lot of the games we lost, it didn't feel like our deck was running very smoothly, and it could just be that it needs to be tweaked. Maybe Belligerent Yearling doesn't need to be in the deck. Maybe we need to figure out a better 2-drop spot, more Explorers or something else. Wayward Swordtooth, while essential to our combo piece, just hardly ever could attack or block, and so in our last game we died with 2 Wayward Swordtooths out, whereas if that had been a Pugnacious Hammerskull, we would have not died. Terror of the Peaks, I think it's cute, basically. I mean, it's a neat little combo. I don't think it won us any games, other than attacking by itself as a 5/4 flyer with Shadow Spear on it. So yeah, I just don't think it's necessary. I think Reachstar Alpha is probably the better card. Synergizes with what we're doing. It brings 2 bodies to the battlefield, gives all of our dinosaurs haste, turns any of our dinosaurs into legitimate threats after. So I think that's probably the better card in that spot. Maybe we cut the Yearlings just for 4 Lightning Bolts to have a little bit of interaction with what our opponent's doing, but I think the way the deck plays with its lands, for me, it is frustrating, and I'll be the first to admit that I am not anywhere close to being an expert at this deck, and even in this league where it started off nicely, I feel like I was making mistakes. I know I made mistakes in certain spots, even that last game that cost us the second game, just via math. But the way that you're making land drops and things like that, you don't often have open mana to do things in the early game, and you don't want to hold up your mana in order to like bolt whatever they play on turn 2, because you're trying to advance your board to the point where you have a big turn 3 or 4. So I just think that we basically want to flood the board with giant dinosaurs as fast as possible. And you look at our build, we have 24 creatures, but we so frequently were missing creatures in general. Like, we would have a lot of lands, we'd have an Urza Saga, we'd make some creatures that way, but we weren't drawing. Like, Pugnacious Hammerskull made very rare appearances, and when he did, it was great, but not having that as a 3-drop on a consistent basis hurt us. Wayward Swordtooth also, when it showed up, we had some of our best games, and when it didn't, we were floundering. Drawing Ghalta late, with Primeval Titan, you're looking at, okay, I just need to get to 6 mana. Well, we need 12, and basically, if we have we need 12 if we have an empty board. And so there would be times where we are drawing Ghalta and not just a dead card because we don't have anything else on the board. I think with 28 lands and 24 creatures, I don't know, I'm just a little surprised at how poorly the deck seemed to run. And it's frustrating because I think that there is some really exciting and fun synergies. I think the deck does have game. Losing on turn 3 to super aggressive decks, though, is kind of like the bane of mid-range existence. That's just the reality. You have to have a game plan against that, and with Brotherhood's in, that's kind of like our game plan to fight against non-affinity aggressive strategies, and that's often too slow, as it turns out. So maybe we need to rethink our sideboard options and come up with something different, a little bit faster in the sideboard at least, to answer some of those strategies. even like a Chalice on 1 perhaps against some of that stuff would have been pretty good in that spot versus something like Pick Your Poison, which we didn't really use very much. And Tormod's Crib never came up, although it certainly could. Yeah, so I think, that they had some exciting moments. We saw some of the power of the deck, but overall we got steamrolled by a bunch of really hyper-aggressive strategies. First, second, had some really unlucky, inconsistent draws where we just got all lands, or couldn't find a creature when all we needed was a creature. And then third, that was second. And third, I mean, there were some play mistakes that cost us a game here or there, or some edges here or there. But overall, disappointed. I do enjoy the strategy, though, and I think I'll keep trying it. I mean, I can only get better at this Amulet strategy, that's for sure. And I do think it's got a high payoff and a high ceiling. I think Terror of the Peaks is going to get retired back to its rightful shell of some sort of mono red build, and I'll return to Regisaur Alpha in the future as I continue to practice and learn this deck. The addition of Lava Spur Boots and Shadow Spear, I think I'm happy with that. I think I'm going to keep that no matter what. As it get Lava Spur Boots maybe is unnecessary if we're playing Regisaur Alpha, but it still does give us a tutorable target with Urza Saga if we already have an Amulet to figure out. Shadow Spear in the main deck kept us in some games that we would have lost sooner otherwise. Anyway, yeah, that's it. So a little bit disappointing performance out of the Amulet Dinos deck. A little bit unsurprising, though, given what we were up against. But nevertheless, hope you enjoy the gameplay. Hope you have it inspires you to do some more brewing on your own and try out different shells, different payoff cards, and maybe establish shells, or just keep modern janky, basically, because that's what we're here to do. Have fun and keep modern janky. So for CyclesGaming.com, this is Johnny Cycles. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all on the next one.
This has been another edition of Keeping Modern Janky. This is Johnny Cycles with CyclesGaming.com. If you haven't already, check out my original Magic the Gathering content over at CyclesGaming.com. I write about my various commander decks. I post articles and video of my gameplay of my various modern janky brews, and I'm publishing my science fiction fantasy novel, The Podkind, serially. If you enjoy the content, check out my YouTube channel, Johnny Cycles, and click that subscribe button. Everybody counts. As always, thanks for watching. This is Johnny Cycles. I'll catch y'all on the next one.